What on earth is going on with Mark J. Zuckerberg? That is the question.
That's a good question because I thought he was a lizard up until now.
He has shed his lizard skin and revealed beneath the human skin.
He was a normal human all along, but he was covered in like a canopy of lizard flesh.
The scales have literally fallen from his eyes, the lizard scales.
Yeah.
He's suddenly become like a based, meat-eating MMA enthusiast. He smokes red meat on the grill. He's like, he's wearing the MAGA hat. He's got a MAGA tattoo on his forehead.
His hair is curlier.
Which is a sign of...
It's just a sign of MAGA-dom.
Recently, Zuckerberg went on the Rogan podcast and talked about how the Biden administration would call Facebook screaming and cursing at his employees for not censoring memes and misinformation.
It's very interesting. And, he was coy about this before. They never said, to shut down the Hunter Biden laptop story, and they were just coy, something's going to happen. And now he's talking about, they just came and just said, shut this down.
He has said, the FBI was telling us what to delete. Facebook, for a long time, had this third-party fact-checking program where they would fund articles by USA Today and Snopes and I think the Associated Press and Reuters and all these. There were all these outlets that were considered official third-party fact-checkers.
Yeah.
And it was this weird system where Facebook is like, we're not fact-checking anyone. We're just asking the experts. So they would kick an article over to USA Today and say, hey, you want to fact-check this? USA Today would fact-check it. Facebook would pull the results from USA Today and then use that fact check to censor the article or censor the whatever page had shared that article.
It was interesting because there was no law requiring this, but I think they just felt pressure and it was easier for them to kick the can down to fact checkers.
Yeah. And it was just everybody was pointing fingers. Well, we didn't do it.
There was the Spider-Man meme, which they were also told to take down.
And they're all Spider-Mans pointing at each other. And then the meme was censored.
Yeah.
And there's now no more Spider-Mans.
No, now it's just 3 different Spider-Man memes pointing at each other.
And it's just memes all the way down. But Meta has just announced that they are ending their use of fact checkers, and they're going to replace it with a user-based system like X's Community Notes.
Jinx.
Okay, so we have a little treat for you guys today. We are going to run through the 12 funniest fact checks of Babylon Bee articles of all time.
This is a definitive list.
The first one. CNN purchases industrial-sized washing machine to spin the news before publication. This article back in 2018 was fact-checked by Snopes, and Facebook sent us a message threatening us with suppression and demonetization for sharing false information. A true classic.
That is wild.
There's the message we actually got for it. A page admin recently posted this link, CNN purchases industrial-sized washing machine, that contains info disputed by Snopes, an independent fact-checker. Repeat offenders will see their distribution reduced and their ability to monetize and advertise, that doesn't even make sense, removed. This is always the funniest one to me. Did CNN actually purchase this machine? Fact check. False.
Well, because that implies that people are like, oh, yeah, I know this other news company that does that.
Yeah.
So obviously I need to check if CNN did. And they didn't do that.
Grandmas are sharing it on Facebook. Did you hear the story? Facebook bought this giant washing machine. It's horrible. It spins the news.
It spins the news. That's how they do it. And the second one, I love this story, but I can't believe it was fact-checked. Ocasio-Cortez appears on The Price is Right, guesses everything is free. Because you can't even do that on the show. The lowest you can go is $1. That's why I'm like,
I like that that's the point you got hung up on, that it says...
It drives me nuts.
That her screen says free on it. Well, we'd like to thank the brave fact checkers at Snopes for calling us out on this one. And they analyzed the Photoshop, and they go back and they find the actual frame from the episode that we screenshotted, and they're like, actually, it wasn't this contestant.
It was this.
The head appears to have been swapped for this person.
That is amazing.
So they did
a lot of work.
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Okay, number 3 funniest fact check ever for Babylon Bee. Ninth Circuit Court overturns death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. USA Today fact-checked this one and helpfully pointed out that this was satire. Here's the headline. Fact check satirical claim that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned Ginsburg's death. And it's kind of funny when you read these articles because you can kind of tell that they're getting funded by Facebook to do this. Because it's like they know they have to write a 1,000-word article. So they're just filling space. Courts are unable to overturn deaths as, people are dead, and that cannot be overturned by a court decision. And if I remember right in that one, they either contacted the court or they were looking up the cases before the court. We see no evidence that this is currently before the court.
I like to get, most of the time, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So in a situation like this, my mind tries to rationalize it. Like, well, maybe they thought, obviously they didn't think she was suddenly alive again. Maybe they thought it was something with like a records thing.
You're very gracious,
Too
Travis,
gracious. But
maybe they're just dumb.
they're just dumb. They're just dumb. But again, grandma's calling and going, wait a minute, they can't do that.
This is an outrage.
Or can they? I want my death overturned.
They're overturning Ginsburg's death. She died fair and square.
And I want her to stay dead. Back in my day, we died and no one overturned it. So number 4, with moon water announcement, Trump proposes space navy.
Also fact-checked by USA Today, and they found out that it was false.
Oh.
Another way that you could tell that this is false is that there's a Photoshop of an aircraft carrier on the moon.
Yeah.
If you don't want to look at the USA Today fact-check, you could probably figure that out.
Yeah, because guess what? That wouldn't work.
Because there's not water on the moon like that.
No.
And I don't think an aircraft carrier would float on the moon.
It wouldn't float the same way.
Not the same way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would float. It'd be even more buoyant because the gravity's lighter.
Is there enough gravity on the moon where it could like hold like water down into a body of water if you, I don't know. Elon?
He knows.
If you're watching this, Elon, comment below with a laughy face.
Yep. Absolutely.
And let us know if there's water on the moon. Number 5 funniest fact check of Babylon Bee articles. Trump, I have done more for Christianity than Jesus. Now, to be fair, we did write this article before Trump said something pretty close to
It was like, I've done more for them than... Wait, what did he say?
Well, I think Donald Trump Jr. said something like, shortly after we wrote this, or a year or two after we wrote this, Trump Jr. posted something like, my dad has done more for Christians than anyone in history.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I kind of understand this one. Thank you for calling us out on this one. Snopes found that one was false.
I'm just glad you did it first.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
we beat him to the punch.
Yeah, that's amazing. So number 6, Elevation Church debuts waterslide baptismal.
Now, this might have been the first B article that was fact-checked. It was one of the very first ones that was fact-checked. And this one was hilarious because this actually got picked up by the local news in North Carolina where
really?
Elevation Church is. So
Okay.
local news were doing reports on, wow, look at this. A local church is a fun way to get baptized.
And they were putting up this picture.
Yeah, and if I remember right, we went on Elevation Church's Facebook page, and there was people commenting on their Facebook page, like, what time is the water slide open?
Oh, man. What?
And the official Elevation Church page is replying, like, there is no water slide at our church. So, fact-checked by Snopes and found it to be false. And my favorite thing is that the Photoshop is so janky, it still works really well somehow. Like we didn't know how to use Photoshop very well in the early days. And Adam just found a random picture of a water slide, cut it out with the lasso tool, and slapped it on the on the stage.
It just coincidentally gets like the lighting right and everything.
It just happened to work out, yeah. Like there's like a random pole in the middle.
Yeah, but then it stops.
Yeah, like he didn't cut out the pole all the way up. It just was, oh my gosh, it's just wonderful. Thank you, Snopes. Great fact-checking work. Number 7.
Pope Francis says COVID vaccine will now be required to enter heaven.
Wow.
That's another one where I can't believe it was fact-checked. And I know I keep saying that a lot, but I still can't believe it.
I mean, the Pope does say some odd things.
Yeah, but that's just so weird.
This one was making the rounds on a lot of Italian news sites, like Italian news sites that cover the Vatican and they cover everything that goes on there in Rome. They were like, "Oh, the Pope, says the COVID vaccine." That's what the article said.
Well, of course it did. So, yeah, I'm the Pope.
Many concerned Italian grandmothers were very worried about this.
Well, and probably some Protestants were sharing it, going like, "Ha! See those Catholics? Look how dumb they are."
I did that actually.
Oh.
I thought that
after you did
I thought it was real and I shared it. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. I came up with this.
Oh, I forgot. I wrote this. Okay, here's another one. Number 8, ballot drop boxes installed along border wall. Now, this is one of our most recent fact checks, and this is the one that Reuters reached out to us on. Now, the funny thing is that he emailed me before he published this article, and he said, we have this story that you're passing around that border boxes have been installed along the wall. We think it's a satire, but would you like to comment on it? And so I replied and I said, no, this article is actually true. We went down there and took the pictures ourselves, and they published my statement as part of the fact.
So good. There's fact checks that are just reasonably unfair, but there might be times when people are asking legitimately and because they're
right.
dumb, oh, well, are they doing that? And then the fact checkers are required to be like, okay, no, they're not.
Yeah.
But the amount of work they're putting in to realize, like, reaching out for a comment and everything, it's like, it's a fake.
It's
fake.
and it's kind of why I feel like the community notes system is so much superior, because you don't need to justify it with a 1,000-word article and reach out to the person.
Yeah.
Like you can just have a community note that says Babylon Bee is satire. You know, that's all you need to say. That's it. You know, because obviously some people mistake a joke for reality from time to time. That actually shows that the satire is powerful because it's so close to what's actually happening.
Right. Well, number 9, California considering tax on breathing.
Fact check, not yet.
I think this is another situation where it's so close to reality that's why people for a second go,
Well, like there's like seriously considering things like taxing you on miles, you know.
Yeah, well, and taxing cow flatulence.
And then also like what was I don't know if it actually got passed or if it got overturned, but they were talking about taxing how much you use your air conditioning based on income brackets. You know,
Yeah,
nothing
nothing
like
that's
the most bizarre.
Nothing that's gone into effect, but things they're clearly talking about.
Yeah, a state that has banned gas lawnmowers. Like it's not that much further to say that they would then go ahead and tax you on breathing.
Right, and because it does sound ridiculous, but California is ridiculous.
Yeah. And as the penultimate article, Joel Osteen apologizes for using Lord's name in sermon.
Oh man, I love it.
One of my favorite articles early on. And again, this is one of those situations where you could see why people thought it was real. You kind of feel bad for old Joel that we were beating on him here.
He brings it on himself.
At the same time, it makes the joke funnier because now if you Google it, the first result is Snopes. Did Joel Osteen apologize for using Lord's name in a sermon?
Oh man.
Fact check, false. He did not.
Good for him for
As
not
far as
apologizing.
we know, I have not watched every minute of every Joel Osteen sermon, so
I can guarantee that he does not apologize on the Joel Osteen cube.
oh, we do have the inspirational Joel Osteen cube here at the office.
Number 11. Thanks to new laws, VeggieTales finally introduces new cannabis character.
There he is, Cannabis Carl.
Oh, cannabis
And
Carl.
fact checked by Snopes. Did VeggieTales introduce a cannabis character? I always like these weird little copy things that they write under the,
Oh, like the subtitle almost?
like being all cutesy. For the time being, at least, VeggieTales characters remain based on things mothers would approve of their kids consuming.
For the time being.
For the time being. Fact check, false. Over 420 times false.
What does that mean?
It's a reference to smoking weed.
What?
420 is the time at which people smoke weed.
Why would they do that?
That is the only time that it is allowed.
Oh, it's like the purge,
It's
but
the
for
purge.
1 minute.
There's a 1 hour purge starting at 420.
Oh, it's an hour.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah, you cannot smoke it past that hour.
Oh.
All right, the final one, I think, is number 12. NBA players wear special lace collars to honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now,
This one actually does seem semi-realistic because of all the, what was it they were doing, all the woke phrases and stuff on their jerseys they were doing.
woke stuff, but like that they would wear, like their photo, that they would wear lace collars during the game. That's believable.
Well, because of how ridiculous they were getting.
And again, the fact that it's the jankiest Photoshop, like we just cut out this thing.
Obviously, you see that, and
you're
you're like, well, okay. Even if you bought the collars, they wouldn't be wearing like full judge gowns.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is that we had things like New York Times reporters and Elle magazine, like a foreign, like one of the foreign publications of Elle magazine or something was sharing this, thinking it was real. Like this is one of the rare times where the left got fooled by a Babylon Bee article, thought it was real, and thought it was good. Like they were like,
they're applauding the NBA.
Great job, NBA. This is so inspiring.
Man.
And so you can go through Facebook and just find all these shares of this article where people are praising the NBA players for the lace collars.
That's amazing.
So there you have it, guys. That is these are the funniest articles that were fact checked. End of an era. Mm-hmm. End of an era, really. Will we see more fact checks of the Babylon Bee? These fact checkers are going to be out of money because they don't have all these millions of dollars in funding coming from Facebook anymore.
I mean, they still exist. They just not coming from Facebook.
Sad. So, I don't know. It's the end of an era. We're very sad that the Babylon Bee won't be fact checked as much anymore because it does make the jokes at least 3 times funnier.
Oh, at least.